Hi guys, it's Ben Heath, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to overcome Facebook ad fatigue. It's a very important topic, very important part of Facebook advertising. If you run campaigns long enough, you are going to run into Facebook ad fatigue, and it's something that you do need to address because it will kill your Facebook ad campaigns. Now, before I get into that, just want to quickly ask for you to smash that like button on this video, click that like button, that'd be much appreciated. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new and you haven't done so already. Okay. Facebook ad fatigue, what are we talking about here? So basically there's a concept by which once people within your audience have seen your ads multiple times, they're going to become bored of them. They're going to become fatigued with them. And as a result, they're not going to take the action you want them to take. And your results are going to drop off because of that. Now, as I said, if you run Facebook ad campaigns for any length of time, any extended length of time, if you spend particularly higher budgets, you may well run into ad fatigue issues. There's things that you need to do about it, and there are things you can do about it. That's what we're going to cover here. So I'm in one of our Facebook ad accounts. So this is just an old campaign that I've brought up. It's actually a retargeting campaign, but the reason why I wanted to highlight this is to talk about the frequency number. Okay, so I get a lot of questions and comments and people say, oh, I think I've got ad fatigue issues. I think my campaign is fatigued, and that's why I've seen a drop off. Now, there are a number of reasons why a Facebook ad campaign can drop off. Fatigue is one of the most common, but there are also other reasons. So how do you assess whether it is Facebook ad fatigue or something else that's causing the issue? Well, you look at your frequency number. So here, as I said, I'm in a retargeting campaign here, but this is just as important for cold audiences, and I'll get onto that in a minute. And the default when you're looking at columns over here is performance. I want you to go ahead and select delivery, and you'll be presented with something similar to what I'm looking at right now. And you can see this frequency number here. Now, I selected this campaign, the retargeting campaign, because the frequency numbers are really, really high, and I think it makes fit for interesting reading. I'm going to talk about cold audience frequency numbers first, and then get onto the warm audience stuff. So what's an issue? You know, what frequency number is a problem? When have you got Facebook ad fatigue likely setting in? When you see a frequency number for your cold audience campaigns of anything above a 2 to 2.5, particularly above a 2.5, you're likely running into Facebook ad fatigue issues, and there's some steps and measures that you need to take to combat that. With warm audiences, you can get away with much, much higher frequency numbers. You can see in this ad set here where we're targeting people on our email list, we got up to a frequency of over 6 before the ad set started to drop off in performance. With this one, which is actually targeting add to carts for a specific product of ours, we actually got up all the way up to a 38, 37 frequency number before that stopped performing very well. So it's important to keep in mind that with warm audiences, depending on what kind of warm audience it is, you can get away with much higher frequency numbers. People who have added to cart, you can basically bombard them with ads, whereas people with who've just joined an email list, you can't get away with so much. People who've visited your website, maybe even less, okay? So with warm audience, what you're really looking for is that drop off in results. Then check your frequency numbers. If it's frequency numbers is like a 2, not an issue, 3, not an issue with warm audiences. If that frequency number is like 10, 12, yeah, that might be an issue. Cold audiences, you want to try and stay ahead of it. Be aware of when your frequency is getting near that 2.5 mark. Sometimes you can go longer than that, and the different businesses operate differently. Sometimes you'll be fine getting to a 3, 3.5, something like that. But at some point, particularly with the cold audiences, you are going to run into Facebook ad fatigue issues. So what can you do? How do you overcome Facebook ad fatigue? If your results have dropped off, you've checked your frequency, it's pretty high, what can you do? The first thing, my first port of call will always be new ad creative. Remember, there's lots to Facebook advertising, but your ad creative is the only part that your prospects and your customers see. So by changing the ad creative, the image, the video, the slideshow, maybe even ad format is a great way to do that. Perhaps go from an image to a slideshow, or from a carousel to a single image, something like that. That basically, it gets past the filter that your prospects now have when they're fatigued, where they go, oh, I've already seen that. You know, you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, checking things out, you see an ad, you saw that twice already, your brain instantly recognizes, I've seen that before, I can ignore it and move on to something else. That's what's going on with your prospects when Facebook ad fatigue sets in. By changing the ad creative, it could be as simple as just changing the color of the background of one of your image ads. You know, you could be advertising a product that's on, let's say, like a blue background or a white background, and perhaps you try and change that to a red or an orange background. Something that's just going to look very different. So as I say, when people are scrolling, they don't immediately go, I've seen that, could ignore it. They pay it the attention that it's due, and therefore they're far more likely to take the action you want people to take, whether that's become a lead, purchase, etc. As I said, you can change ad format. Great way of doing that. Getting past that, as I said, that ad fatigue filter, and just changing the creative in general. You could go from one image ad to another image ad, but if the other image just looks quite different, that can really help. That can really help overcome ad fatigue. So that's the first thing that will always be my go-to initially, because when you're running a Facebook ad campaign that has been running long enough to become fatigued, it's usually as a result of success. If a Facebook ad campaign's been running long enough to do that, then often that's because whatever your offering's working, your targeting's working, your ads are working. Otherwise, you wouldn't have made it to the point where you get Facebook ad fatigue in the first place. So that will be my first port of call, because I don't want to go ahead and change the other elements unless I have to change up the ad creative. We found that ad creative, in terms of adjusting the ads, is far more important than the ad copy. Yes, you can change your ad copy, and that is something that you can do as well if you want, but that's not going to have the impact because, as I said, Facebook and Instagram are primarily visual advertising platforms. As people are scrolling through, you want to make sure you catch them and get past that Facebook ad fatigue filter. Okay, so the imagery, the video, the carousel, etc., is what's going to get past that. You can change the creative if you want. The headline is a good option there, but it's not as important as the imagery. Okay, so that's the first thing I'll do. We'll test that. Let's assume that doesn't work, right? Okay, perhaps we need to test something else. The next thing I'll test is to try and make my audiences larger. So let's say you've got a 1% lookalike audience based off of purchases, for example. Well, try increasing the size of that lookalike to a 2% or a 3%, something like that. That can be often a very quick and easy fix that gives you much more people to advertise to, and therefore Facebook can go and be like, right, we've already fatigued that section of this audience. Let's go ahead and put this ad in front of a whole bunch of other people. That can be a great way to go about doing it. If you're not necessarily using lookalikes, you're using other targeting options like interests, well, are there other interests you could use that you haven't already used? Are there perhaps broader interests you can use because you really want to increase that audience size? That can really help. On the audience front, another thing we will test is extending our geographical locations that we're targeting, potentially adding in other countries. So if we're just advertising in the US, for example, but the product could be, or the service or whatever could be shipped worldwide, delivered worldwide, or perhaps we'll add in Canada, UK, Australia, other English-speaking countries, Western Europe, certain wealthier Asian countries, things like that. Are there other markets you can extend to? You've got to think ad fatigue is the same people seeing your ads too much in too short a time period for the campaign to work really well. Therefore, you get around that by changing the ad creative, A, or B, increasing the size and changing the audiences and the people that you are targeting. Now, if you're operating in a really, really specific niche where there aren't really other audiences you can go after, you're kind of maxed out your audience, everyone's seen what it is that you're advertising, you've tried changing your creative already, and that hasn't worked, then I think you need to take a look at your offer. Okay, so what is it that you're offering? How can you either A, offer something different? So if you have a range of product or a range of services, are there just straight up different things you can advertise? That can really help as well. Or B, if you've just got the one main offer, there's not really anything else you can advertise, is there a different hook you can use? Is there a different lead in? So perhaps, you offer one main service and you're advertising a free consultation. Okay, is the thing that's in your ad, the thing that's getting people to take action. Can you change that up? Could you offer part of your service free? Could you talk about, if you buy our service, you get this thing free with it? Could you use a lead magnet approach instead, where you get people to opt in for a lead magnet and then retarget? Basically, change up the process and the approach and what your prospects are seeing as they come into your Facebook advertising sales funnel. It's not something I like to do, and that is more of a last resort, because as I said, if we've reached the point at which we've got Facebook ad fatigue, we've usually got something that's working quite well. So I want to change that as little as possible to where we start with ad creative, then go on to target audiences. And then if all of that doesn't work, or either of those aren't really an option, we will then go and take a look at the offer itself. But those are the three main categories that you need to focus on to overcome Facebook ad fatigue. You can try and stay ahead of Facebook ad fatigue. And what I'd recommend is that you create new ads. This is the best way to do it. Create new ads regularly and add those into your campaign. Don't pause your best performers, run the new ones alongside your best performers and see which one performs best, pause those and continue that process. So how often you need to do that really depends on your budget and your audience size. If you're advertising to the whole of the US and you're spending $500 a month, well, you may never run into ad fatigue issues, okay? Because your budget in relation to the audience size is absolutely tiny. If you're only advertising to, a specific city with, let's say, 1 million people in it, and you're spending, $30,000, $40,000 a month, well, you might need new ads every 2 weeks, maybe even every week. So the time period really depends on your budget and your audience size. I would say as a rough rule of thumb to stay ahead of Facebook ad fatigue, the average Facebook advertiser wants to be making sure they're introducing at least a new ad, I would say once every month to 6 weeks, something along those lines. Not too onerous, you could even make a whole batch and then that would do you for 6, 12 months maybe. But I think that's a way you can really try and stay ahead of it. Don't ignore it. And if you do see Facebook ad fatigue, don't panic either. It is something that can be overcome with the measures that I've already talked about. One other thing I want to quickly mention that most people are already doing, but if you're not, this can help with Facebook ad fatigue, is that if you're only using specific placements and only say advertising on Facebook feeds or only advertising on Instagram, another good way to quickly and easily overcome Facebook ad fatigue is to open that up. Right, so if you're running a conversions campaign, I would recommend using automatic placements anyway. But if you're just advertising on Instagram, add in Facebook. That can obviously help. You're going to reach new people. You're also going to reach the same people on a new platform, so it's going to look different, feel different for them. You get past that fatigue filter where people just automatically ignore what you're advertising, and that could be a very quick and easy win for you. Okay, hopefully that's been useful. Implement those things that help overcome your Facebook ad fatigue. Get your campaigns performing as they were previously, which is obviously, if you're watching this video, likely what you want to be able to do. Before you go, a couple of free things I want to quickly mention. The first is a free webinar that I've created called 3 Killer Facebook Advertising Strategies to Double or More Your Revenue. Now, if you're looking for better results from your Facebook ad campaigns, I would strongly recommend you go through this webinar. It's completely free. It's about an hour, 70 minutes long. It'll be some of the best time you could possibly spend when it comes to educating yourself around Facebook advertising. And what we've done in that webinar is we've basically broken down 3 different sales funnels that we use for our clients all the time. We generated more than $1 million with every single one of those sales funnels. They're very much tried and tested and proven. We use them all the time. And I demonstrate them in full. I showed exactly how they work. Like, these are the steps you need to take people through. This is how you get the best results. And I also go a step further and say, look, if you've got this type of business, you need to use this sales funnel. If you've got this type of business, you need to use this sales funnel, which is so important because there is no one size fits all when it comes to Facebook advertising. You need to tailor your approach to your business, and I show you how to do that in the webinar. So the link to this free webinar will be in the video description below. Go ahead and click on it and check it out. I think you'll be very glad that you did. Second free thing I want to talk about is my Facebook Ads Mastermind group. We have more than 43,000 members in this group, one of the biggest Facebook groups about Facebook advertising online. Fantastic community full of Facebook advertisers asking questions, getting them answered by experts, helping each other out. I do free live trainings in there weekly. If you want to join, we'd love to have you. Just click, again, there'll be another link in the video description below. Go ahead and click on that, go join the group, and we'd love to have you in there. It's all moderated, so there's no spam or anything like that. We keep a close eye on that, so you don't have to worry about those sorts of things. And yeah, if this video's been useful, please smash that like button. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new and haven't done so already. Comment below to let me know if this was useful. Comment below if you've got any questions. I'm not able to get to all the questions on my YouTube channel anymore, but I do my best and I do see them all, so they are much appreciated. And yeah, best of luck with your Facebook ad campaigns, guys. Go ahead and sort that ad fatigue out that you've got and go and smash that out the way, because it's nothing that needs to concern you and something that can be overcome for sure. Best of luck with everything, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Bye.